This ain't my business, but I just know about it.
What's up, y'all? We like to welcome y'all to another episode of That Ain't My Business, but let's talk about it. I'm your boy Nesto the Dunn.
It's your boy Pac-Man, the Hood's voice box.
We got a special guest here, a returning guest, you heard me?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to start calling this Talks with Craig, you know, because it seems like this going to be a reoccurring thing here where Craig come on and school the people about what's going on.
What I just told him, it still be happening so fast, he might be back next week.
Yeah, we literally said that, and look at him back next week. Ain't that nothing? Yes. So look, let's go ahead and jump into the footage.
Yeah.
Mr. Barrett, in your prayer, you referenced unity and not being divided. You also referenced being a believer in Yeshua Jesus. Regrettably, your words struck me as being very hypocritical for two reasons. Last week, last week,
I ain't gonna lie, you know it's so crazy. It's like he looking up like, oh, you finna act a damn fool, huh?
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk civilly, and you up here acting a damn fool.
Yeah, it go the other angle right here.
Okay.
Publicly or privately, you are not.
Last week.
That man is not going to do that today. You are not. You need to apologize now.
Apologize.
Son.
Straighten that out. I'm not going to take that. I am not going to take that.
Those were his words.
No, you called me a hypocrite, and you're not going to do that. You are not.
Why?
You are not.
I'm gonna tell you, you don't censor me.
I'll stop our time. Yeah.
Exactly.
No.
No, what law have I broken? No, what law have I broken?
None.
What law have I broken? Okay. That's you.
They tried to seek the brother.
To me.
And what's crazy, as a civil servant, you are gonna take that. Like, exactly. You are gonna take it. Yeah, what you mean you ain't gonna take that? You gotta hear what the people got to say, whether it's good or not so not so pretty. The people got a right to express the way they feel about what's going on, because that's the whole point of you being an elected official, because you answer to the people. So yeah, you gonna take that. What's wrong with you?
Exactly.
That's insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking at that, we see what we see. Can you give us your perspective on what occurred at this Caddo Parish School Board meeting?
Yeah. So again, thank you guys for having me, and I'm glad that you guys are getting into the core issues of what's impacting our people in our neighborhoods, our communities, the city, and the entire parish. So that's great. And your target audience is now being elevated. You guys are to be commended for elevating them so they can understand how all of these issues impact their daily lives. So yesterday at an executive session, we were there as a byproduct of what happened last week when 7 of the Caddo Parish School Board members voted to circumvent the process that they had paid $70,000 for in order to do a national search for our next superintendent. So that whole thing was already bogus. And so several individuals, Amari Hosang, some of the church leaders, they mobilized in order to now start to rally people to attend the executive session on yesterday. And they did a good job of bringing a lot of people out. So as I was sitting down, I'm listening to Barry Rochelle come up with this superficial prayer. And as he's so-called praying, I don't know how devils pray, but at the end of the day, the devil is actually praying. And this is what ends up happening. He starts talking about unity and not being divisive. And he was a believer in Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Mm-hmm. So I already knew. I said, I'm going to use his words against him. And so that's what I had already planned to do. I knew it would piss him off, but I didn't know that devil would totally come out on it. So I was, very respectful of the whole situation. And once I got to telling him, regrettably, all of the words that you're saying are hypocritical, boom, he exploded. And that's what happened. And then they tried to censor me.
Real fast. You know what that reminded me of?
What's that?
On like them Exorcist movies when they call a demon name and then they get to acting a fool. That reminded me of that.
Exactly. And that's what you have. And what has happened now, Donald Trump has struck a chord with a lot of pale-skinned European descendants. And these pale-skinned European descendants, especially the European descendant males, they feel they can do what Donald Trump does. And I have no issue with it, but be ready for that clapback. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't ready for the clapback because at the end of the day, everything that they're doing in these meetings, it basically is in violation of state law. So what they tried to do is say that I couldn't refer to him by name, even though he is a public official. He is an elected official. So how would I now address him if I don't address him by name? So they came up with this policy years ago. And these retarded Negroes who sit on that board, they're so stupid that their whole mindset is trying to create this illusion that they get along with white folks. That's not your goddamn job when you go to these meetings. Your job is to fight for resources for your constituency, which as it relates to a school board, you're talking about the children, the parents of the children, or whatever caregivers that they have, your neighborhood and your community. Because the schools are not just schools, they are assets of a neighborhood and a neighborhood development group, the economics, all of that is a part of schools. And so these Negro school board members, all they know is to capitulate and be Uncle Toms. And maybe every now and then you'll have one that may try to do their job or learn, but the majority of them have not read their goddamn bylaws. They don't know Robert Rules of Order, and they damn sure don't know state law. Because if they knew state law, you wouldn't have created a policy that now opens you up for liable trying to now censor me. And so I made damn sure that that wasn't going to happen. So I ultimately went back up at the end. They tried to censor me again. And so I say, show me the law that I'm breaking. See, so if you can't show the law, you can't tell me that I can't refer to you by name. Mm-hmm. So I went to work and called his ass out again, mm-hmm. as well as the two people, especially Miss Bonita Dozart, because it was her vote, along with the Republicans, that now created this situation where they circumvented the process by which they were supposed to be hiring the most qualified candidate.
So let me ask you a quick question. Robert Rules of Order, isn't it that they have to be polite to each other like the people don't, though, right?
Well, there's decorum in meetings. You don't want to be so outrageous. So there's some respect that needs to be had. But you're correct. But it's how they conduct the meeting between themselves. But it also has, when you're dealing with the general public, there's a decorum policies that go into that. But yeah, it is primarily how they conduct the meeting themselves.
Okay, I was just
yeah. So you're right on point with that. And so, but they've been so accustomed to shaming citizens, and that's why people are intimidated to come there. Now, when you think about this, Robert, you've been to city council meeting, and you've been to parish commission meeting. We don't play that in city council. You don't do that in parish commission. You don't do that in the state legislature. And you don't do that at the federal level. So what in the hell would these fools believe that somebody is going to abide by a policy that circumvents state and federal law? They fall under state law. But see, the people don't know it, so they'll use the term policy. Policy doesn't trump law. Okay. Policy ain't goddamn law. Okay? So let's say Walmart has a policy that you can't come in their store without any clothes on. That's their policy. You cannot come into my store without any shirt or shoes. That's their policy. They can do that. That's policy. But they cannot say, if you come to Walmart, you can only spend $1 bills. That can't happen because all of these bills are 20, 100, or 5. All of these things are legal tender. So you got to know the difference between policy and law. They don't know the difference between policy and law. And so I stood on that. And so what ended up happening, and shout out to Don Otis and Don Gibbs, two of my good colleagues and two of our best professional law enforcement officers in this city and parish. They let it be known, no sir, he's right. That's our policy, but he's not breaking law. So you can't censor this dude based on the fact that you all want to figure a way of not coming off looking bad in the public. And I didn't even go into paint on his punk ass because I could have got with him in an intellectually gangster way, but I was just being real polite and nice. But now what ends up happening, the reality of your non-Christian identity comes out. And that's what he objected to. That's what that whole situation was, because they did not want the public out in TV land to now learn that this whole thing is just straight game.
And I got a question. I noticed it looked like they had tried to get he tried to get one of the black one of his black board members to talk to you or something, like that was gonna work. Like,
so they sent attorney Reginald Abrams down, because Reginald is their attorney for the school board. And so Reg came down and asked me to not call him by name. I say, no, sir. No, sir. You have people who are trying to destroy melanated children. You have people on that platform trying to destroy African-American communities. So you think I give a damn about his feelings? Hell no, I don't give a damn about his feelings. So no, I'm not going to abide by this bogus policy. And I made that very clear to Brother Reginald. And when you look at the school board, you can see the ignorance of all of them, right? The melanated ones and the so-called white ones. They don't know what the hell they're doing. Because you're never going to have an attorney at a city council meeting as involved as Reginald Abrams is with the school board talking that much. Same with the parish commission. The reason that Reginald is so involved in this process is because most of those people on that dais are straight up incompetent.
Yeah, they can't keep it flowing by themselves.
Is that okay, boss? Can we do that, boss? Is that okay, boss? Can we say that, boss? Ooh-wee.
And so now you're dealing with a situation where people are presiding over hundreds of millions of dollars. Their budget is like $600 million a year. And so you got all these incompetent people who don't know what the hell they're doing. And now you're referring to the attorney. The attorney is supposed to be a guide, but you need to know the rules of engagement, the policies, and state law your goddamn self. It's really that damn simple.
They have the biggest budget out of like the city and the parish and them three.
So it's basically, you can say that So it's the city, the city, the school board, and then the Caddo Parish Commission. So it's whatnot and whatnot. The city is really $1 billion corporation that their budget will hover down because they're rolling with city tax dollars. But yeah, in theory, the parish, the school board's tax revenues are typically slightly larger, but when the city is rolling the way it needs to roll, their budget is really larger because the city of Shreveport makes up roughly 85% of the parish of Caddo.
Makes sense. So
the other smaller towns, they really don't, their tax base doesn't really contribute as largely as the city of Shreveport.
Okay. Yeah, and what's crazy is cause like I know when I first started speaking at like the commission in the city council, hell, I was calling people by names left and right?
Yeah. And
even one of the times why I did decide to not call the person's name, he knew who I was talking about, and he addressed me not disrespectfully. He just was saying, "Well, you said what you said, but I want you to get with me afterwards, and I'm gonna keep my promise to you."
Yeah,
that type of thing. Where does this entitlement come from that these school board members feel like they hold more, authority than real officials? Like, I'm not saying they're not real officials. Of course, they elected, But where does this entitlement come from?
So what you have, especially from the Negroes, and I want to put this in perspective for y'all. And you guys are young, so we're going to break this down, and you'll see where the entitlement comes from. Chattel slavery. I'm going to take y'all through this timeline so you can really see why our people are so messed up and why those Negroes on the school board and the parish commission and even some of the Negroes that we deal with on the city council or in the state legislature are so messed up. From 1555 to 1865, was the period known as chattel slavery. And see, this is why these white folks do not want critical race theory taught in school. Right. See, because when you start to put it together, then it's going to make sense.
And it's not even taught in grade school, no way.
At all. I mean, why would you, these are high-level concepts. So from 1555 to 1865, that's 310 years. That's 15 and a half generations. A generation is 20 years. So a generation is like you're a generation, then you got your mom. That's your generation. You got a child, right? Mm-hmm. So now that's another generation, right? So typically it's 20 years, between each entity. So we got 20 and a half generations between 1555 and 1865. Our people were stripped of their culture. Their spirituality was basically suppressed, and that was elevated. They elevated slave Christianity for our people. And all that was to reprogram our minds. We were trained to hate each other. We were trained to rape and murder. I mean, just all of this savage behavior. We will work from sun up to sundown with no pay. Mm-hmm. Okay, that was for 310 years from the shores of Africa to now the New World. We had some of our ancestors who were already here, but even those, they were captured and put into the mix. All right. January the 31st, 1865, the 13th Amendment of the United States was passed. And it said that we were, physically free except, if you get caught for a crime. All right. So that was where we go with slavery by another name. So that's where this book comes in. Okay, and y'all can go on YouTube again and look at this video, Slavery by Another Name, and you will really see what ends up happening. So this is where they start to put in the convict leasing program with the black codes and all of these particular laws, right? So from February the 1st, 1865 to 1964, we were in a period called legalized apartheid, aka Jim Crow segregation. All right. So you got 99 years plus 310 years. So that is 419 years of hardcore oppression against our people. So 1964, the Civil Rights Act is passed. Civil Rights Act doesn't take into full effect. This is what creates where we're at now, the illusion of integration. So I call this period that we're in right now the pseudo-integration period, where Negroes feel good because they can go to goddamn McDonald's and Whataburger and Walmart, and they can go on cruises and give all their damn money away back to their oppressor. So this is the period that we're in right now.
And I was reading a study, and it says that right now in I think it may have been 2022 or 2023 when I actually read it, and it was saying at that date and time that the way we live is more segregated than it was during segregation.
Yeah. And we're going to break that down because all of this gets to the schools. And the people don't understand this. So that's why I'm taking you through the timeline. So now, 1964 Civil Rights Act is passed. It takes roughly 6 years 6 to 8 years. But I'm going to start the clock in 1970. So it takes 6 years. They figured out how they're going to integrate children. Brown versus Topeka Board of Education didn't happen. So Negroes, this book is important. It's called Teaching Equality, Black Schools in the Age of Jim Crow. This is a powerful book. It's only about 60-some pages. You need to check this book out.
They haven't banned these books yet in the school system?
Now, well, I don't know if this is in the school. I got it, buying it outside of the realm. But this is written by a white boy. This is written by Adam Fairclough. He's from Europe.
I know they ban like certain books like that in the prison system.
Oh, yeah. They don't want you. See, at some point, if you start to learn this game, now you start to infect other people with different vibrations. And they do not want that to happen. So we're going to discuss this. Because at the end of the day, this is what it's all about. What does that say?
Black labor, white wealth.
That's what this is all about.
I heard that.
Black labor and white wealth. See, so if I keep you in a state of perpetual ignorance where you do not understand the dynamics of how all of this works, I can always pimp you. You're going to always be my slave. Malcolm X, Malik Shabazz said it best. Education is our passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to the people who prepare for it today. But if you're miseducated, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, if you're miseducated and now your people abandon your black schools to now try to integrate you where? With white students. Now you're investing your trust and belief that the same people who had the descendants of them who held you in chattel slavery and then in Jim Crow segregation are now going to do what?
Try to give you an education that they once denied you.
And I'm gonna tell you another thing that's crazy, like dealing with it. And I had this problem with a lot of black people, even black people that's kind of remotely intelligent.
Yeah.
When a white person say something, they assume.
Yeah.
They know what they talking about.
Automatic.
Right. And I try to tell them, I used to be in classrooms with some of these white people. These they dumb. Like, I was always smarter than all of them. So I don't see why people always like. But you're telling me, you know,
exactly.
You're telling me why. But and I just want our people to start trusting their information more than you trust this stranger that you don't know what his educational background is.
Exactly. And this is why with the school board issue, this is why they didn't want Keith Burton to have to interview in competition with these other phenomenal candidates. There were 5 other phenomenal candidates.
What you just said, they ain't want what?
They didn't want him to have to interview in competition.
So they don't want to interview everybody.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, I get this little
What the hell
news.
type of job is that?
I get this little news article in my email from when I used to be subscribed to their paper, and the owner of the article was saying he was the most qualified candidate.
That's a goddamn lie.
The owner of the article?
Yeah,
That's
you
a
don't
guy-
like saying his
Look,
name, so
look,
I ain't say his
but
name.
let me-
Oh, you talking about fucking what's the racist name down there?
The one
John Settle?
that called the boy.
See, I said things you knew.
Straight track.
What they tell you?
Straight track. Look, let me tell you something. John Settle also said the same thing about who? John Nicholson. We know that John Nicholson shouldn't have even been considered for sheriff. But at the end of the day, now you move the bar because it ain't got nothing to do with qualifications when it comes to a white boy getting in a job. And that's the same thing with this cat. This dude is the least qualified of the 6 candidates who are the so-called finalists. Bro, you got a couple of sisters that's so devastating, it's unreal. But they don't want the public. See, that none of them have been here to interview. So that's what the meeting last week was about. So they had them up on Zoom. And so these were the 6 finalists. And so it should have been said that, okay, we're going to now take the top 3 selections and then bring them in to now be interviewed. But that's not what happened. What ends up happening, they interview these phenomenal candidates. Keith Burton is not he's one of the 6, but only because he's a part of the deals that have been cut so that they can, quote unquote, get somebody local. But check this out. Here's the other game. And I applaud Terrence Vincent for asking this question. What about the identity of the other local applicants? They didn't want that to come out. Why? Because there are other people locally who have better credentials than Keith Burton. And we're going to talk about why they want this guy in this position, because it's in direct relationship to a piece of legislation that they added to the agenda last night.
All right, so look, let me ask you one more question before I let you really just take out.
No problem.
You know, what is the racial makeup of the school board council?
It's 6'6". 6'6", melanated, African descendant, 6'6", pale skin, European dependents.
And we have is there a significant number?
And really it should be automatically 7'5", because the same Klansman that went off last night and got pissed off because I said the word hypocritical, he only represents one goddamn school. It's only one school. See, so they're fictitiously.
So they gerrymandered.
Exactly.
Hold on, if you don't mind me asking, what school he represents?
University. It's an elementary.
Oh yeah.
University out in the southeast. Yeah. So that's the school that he represents. Now, how the hell? This is supposed to be a school system. You can put one school in a whole nother goddamn district. Yeah. So, but they do that because he's their hardcore racist wannabe Donald Trump. But he encountered the wrong one.
That's why I want to also ask you, like, what position did this Keith Burton hold before they wanted to put him in this position?
He was the chief academic officer for the whole school district for the past decade, over the past decade.
So he probably held weight on helping who get elected to the school board.
No, none of that. But he was over the so-called academic standards, setting the policies and how the function would.
So he's the reason that our schools are failing.
You're goddamn right. Yeah. He's the primary reason. And so, but deals have been cut with Dottie Bell. And
well, Dottie Bell, she ain't been shit since she was teaching me in middle school.
Hey, bro.
But I ain't gonna speak on that.
I know that.
Hey, bro, this is a cold-blooded game, Nesto. And so there are deals that the people don't know about behind the scenes. And so you saw it kind of like yesterday. One of the white female school board members, there was a lady up asking for a tax exemption for her company. And this is how dumb these people are. She's like, oh, you and I went to school together.
She said it right there.
We're classmates. So now you're now introducing in nepotism, cronyism into
And then she caught herself. Was I supposed to not say that?
Yeah, they be some dumb motherfuckers.
I mean, hey, bro, you can't be this dumb.
And I'm gonna tell you another thing I noticed watching that video, because I'm real observant. When he was telling you, when he was saying, nigga, you gonna apologize. Notice he looked over there to Dottie and say,
yeah,
he not gonna talk to me like that.
Yeah. Like you need to get him in line.
Yeah, you need to get your nigga partner in line.
Who that nigga on that day?
Yeah, exactly.
Who that nigga on that day?
So were there a significant number of melanated school board members that is going along with this? This attempt to circumvent the whole process?
Well, for sure, Dozart and Dottie Bell, they're definitely the two. Now, Jasmine Green voted against it. Terrence Vincent voted against it. Darren Dixon voted against it. And Mary Chamel voted against it. But when it comes to Dottie, she showed her hand last night. Although she didn't vote against it last week, she let it be known that they just threw Bonita Dozart out there to the wolves, and she basically put herself on the host roll last week. And she went on and did the flipping. Because, see, had she voted 6-6, it would have died. See, when you make a motion like that, if you ever see somebody make a motion like that, they already got the votes. So that's why the white chick last week made the motion, and they rolled with it 7-5. And so that's what, and the motion was, and by the way, here's what happened. You got 12 members. What should have happened was that they say, okay, we're gonna take the top 3, and that's who we're going to bring in the interview. That's not what happened. What they did was to attach a fictitious numbering system. And it was so convoluted, they introduced it last week. The damn school board members didn't even know what to do. So it was a point rating system. And so the firm who was paid $70,000, they participated in the conspiracy. So all of this was introduced while we're sitting in the audience. And then all of a sudden,
that's part of where that 70,000 went to?
Hell yeah. and so they introduced the scoring system, and the people on the school board didn't even know what the hell was going on. The next thing you know, they start to call out. One entity gets, Keith Burton gets 58. Now, how do we know what the scoring system, because it should have been a scoring system anyway. But they say he got 58, the next one was 30-something. And then all of a sudden, the white chick says, I move that we stop the process and just take the top vote getter.
Oh, yeah, that's outrageous.
It was already set in place. So this is what everything comes down. So they only did that because they knew they had one Negro that would flip, at least one Negro, and that was Bonita Dozart.
Do they have term limits?
Yeah, they have term limits. You can run 3 consecutive terms. So Dottie Bell is term limited. Mary Chamel, Dozart, the white guy, Rochelle. It's a few of them term limited.
Well, that's good. That you said a bunch of names that need to get out of there.
But we gotta get legitimate people in, because if not, they just gonna keep recycling. Exactly. Start the process back over.
So go ahead and we finna go. I'm finna go ahead and turn this flow over to you, so you can really educate the people on everything dealing with as far as what was last night was about, and everything surrounding it.
Yeah, so in essence, like I said, there was a group of grassroots people who started to put pressure out there. Mari Hassan and her group, they were the ones that principally mobilized.
Yeah, she just texted me getting on my ass. She said why I wasn't there.
Yeah, so they were the ones who principally mobilized the ministers, and the ministers did a very good job of coming out and putting it down. But we have to stop reacting and being proactive. And so what ends up happening, it was a good showing, very good showing, but we're in the position because some of the same ministers supported Dottie Bell and some of the ones who are doing this to our people. We have to get out of this whole concept of identity politics. Identity politics is killing us. And when I say identity politics that's my relative. You know he's retarded, but I'm still gonna vote for him. I mean, you know he barely can count.
You know that boy ain't do the good in school.
Okay? But I'm still vote for him. That's my cousin, that's my kinfolk, or that's my classmate, or that's my sorority sister, or that's my fraternity brother, or that's my Mardi Gras crew member, or that's my Masonic member. The only time you do stupid stuff like this is primarily in politics, religion. You would never do this if you're about to go in for cataract surgery.
Really?
Your cousin tells you, hey boy, I can work on your damn eyes. I can remove them damn cataracts.
Well, you cock his eyes cocked like a pistol.
Okay, so now why don't you let your cousin, who says they can do your cataracts, do your No, now you want to do what? I need to see your credentials. I need to see your education.
Because people deem things like that as serious.
Exactly.
You know.
Now let me show you how stupid that is. Guess who regulates policy on all doctors, all pharmacists, all engineers, all business people, everybody? Who regulates policy on them?
The lawmakers.
The lawmakers. So they got more power than those specialists. Mm-hmm. So when you think that they need to have actually a greater amount of knowledge than those people, because they're regulating policy on them, but they don't see that. And that's where we're at, and we're constantly in the mix of believing that we can force evil people to do good. Evil people's job, Nesto, is to do goddamn evil. You can't have the Dallas Cowboys. The New Orleans Saints is playing the Dallas Cowboys. New Orleans Saints, Dallas Cowboys, will you please score a touchdown for us? That ain't how that works. The Dallas Cowboys got to score their own touchdowns, and the Saints got to do what?
Let's go there.
And whoever scores the most, that determines who wins the game.
Mm-hmm.
What happens with good people, they're sitting their ass on the sidelines. They're not even on the sidelines. They in the road outside of the damn stadium. They're not in the parking lot. They're not in the stands. They're not on the bench, and they goddamn sure not on the field of play.
They ain't interested in the game.
They're not even in. But guess who they want to do right by them? The goddamn evil people. And the evil people are not going to do right by you. So again, why is that? They're miseducated. They're still enslaved. And it's all about black labor and white wealth.
I heard that.
Okay? And so if we do not educate ourselves into understanding how this thing works, we're going to be totally out to lunch. So what I did today, I brought, and I'm going to pass these over here to you. So this is why white folks do what they do with the school system. I want y'all to really pay attention to this. This is a City of Shreveport property tax notice, and this is one from 2016 on one of my old properties that was located on Eustis, or is located on Eustis. And in this, when you pay your taxes, it breaks down where the tax dollars go. Okay? So you can see this. If you don't pay these, what the white folks say is you don't count.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the city taxes don't go to the school system, but I wanted to show you because you have to pay city and parish property taxes. Now, if you live in your home, if you are buying your home, or if you so-called own it, which you don't never own property, in America, and we'll talk about that. You'll get a tax notice like this, okay? Now, if you have homestead exemption, you don't have to pay any taxes. But if you don't have homestead exemption, you're going to get a tax notice like this. Mm-hmm. This is on another property that I have. And so now what ends up happening, this tells you where the dollars for your tax dollars go. I want you all, I'm going to pass this to you, and I want you to show, this is from last year. I want you to tell your viewers who gets the most of the goddamn tax dollars from the parish.
Let's check it out.
Look up top. That graph.
It says the Caddo Parish School Board gets 54%.
54.3%.
And the next upcoming is 19.1.
What?
What the fee?
They get almost 55% of every dollar that is collected by the sheriff on behalf of the parish of Caddo. Are you seeing? So white folks are basically saying we're the number one taxpayer, so we need to determine where our taxpayer dollars are gonna go.
We tired of educating these niggas.
We tired of educating these Negroes.
Nah, you're dead.
All y'all want to do is be ratchet anyway. Okay, so so who else gets some money? The biomed. Oh, hold on. Who goes second? The Caddo Parish Commission. Okay, they get 19.1%. Then the sheriff gets 9.9%. The library gets 6.8%. The waterway tax assessor, they get 5.2%. And then other entities get 4.7%. So let's see the other entities. The other entities, that's the Biomedical Research Center, the Caddo Assessor, the courthouse maintenance, the jail facilities, the juvenile court. I mean, all of these people get a percentage, but the number one is who?
The school board.
The school board.
Can I see that again?
Yeah.
You know the people ain't gonna trust you.
Yeah.
Well, our people will, but you know, the white people ain't gonna trust you. I got it. Okay.
And so now, what white folks are basically saying is we don't trust our dollars to just anybody. But here's the thing. If you rent, Nesto, if you rent, are you paying property taxes?
To me, yeah, because you paying them, they paying the taxes with the money that
Come
they collect
on,
from you,
brother.
so-
Come on, brother.
You smart.
Yeah.
Come on, brother.
You know what I was thinking.
I was thinking.
Come on,
yeah,
bro.
you smart as hell.
Come on, brother. Even if you're renting, listen to me, y'all. Don't let these white folks and these Uncle Tom sellout Negroes tell you that if you're renting, you're not paying property taxes. How in the hell do you think they're paying the property taxes? With a percentage of your rent dollars. So you're vested just like they're vested. You just don't get a notice. So you're indirectly helping them, well, you're directly helping them to pay the tax dollars that they're responsible for. So you're indirectly paying the dollars because you're paying your goddamn rent.
Black labor and white wealth.
Black labor, white labor.
I know that's right.
That's how this whole thing works. So now the white folks are like, damn, you know, these Negroes, they want to be ratchet. They want to be ratchet. They want to commit murder. They want to, do all this foolishness. So what we gonna do? We're gonna now set up these communities on the outskirts of the city. And we're gonna create our own neighborhood. Now we're getting ready to get into why Mary Tramiel was handed a piece of paper to introduce last night on the agenda a $40 million deal to do a school. Interesting.
They gonna do a school while they shutting down all these other schools.
But they shutting down the other schools to create more money to fund what?
These damn
The new school. Well, who wants a new school? The people who have moved out into the Ellaby Road area. Why you think they built that whole area up with the nice Krogers and
It's a nice area because I be out there using they shit.
Nice little restaurant.
Nice restaurants. And look, I'm not mad. Listen, anybody who puts into the tax base should be able to have a school. I ain't mad at that. But don't go through this whole cloak and dagger and we love Jesus and no. We not gonna play those games. Just be straight up. Look, we control these many tax dollars. So we want a new school. So at the end of the day, what we need to basically be able to do is have our school, but we need to still help to upgrade the existing school infrastructure and things like that. But a lot of that is on us. We need to fix up our own neighborhoods and communities and take over our own assets. Because a lot of these buildings, we need to basically take over and now create our own charter schools so we can specifically educate our children the way that they need to be educated.
Can evil people be straightforward?
Hell no, they can't be straightforward. They can't be straightforward. So that's why they do what they do. So you have to call them to the turf on what they're actually doing, and that's what they hate. But it's like truth. Why lie when the truth will work? But evil people gonna lie. They just gonna do it. It's just in them.
I'm gonna tell you, it was a man I met during this last campaign. He told me he used to he cleans up for Nicholson and them, right?
Yeah.
He said he was like, he wasn't black neither. He was like, man, them people straight Klansmen.
Yes, sir.
Hold on.
And I never told this before.
Before you say anything, I need y'all to hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit that like button once again when you get the likes up.
And share.
That's right.
Yeah. And he told me, he said, man, he was like, I'm serious, man. He said, these people are straight up Klansmen. I was like, well, I ain't surprised, but they just go, and that just speaks towards a lot of games that these officials and stuff tend to play. They try to act like they good people and stuff like that. But the whole time, this is still David Duke's Louisiana.
Exactly.
How was the energy in there when they started chanting to let you speak?
It was powerful. It was very powerful energy, positive. People were amazed at the kind of money that was being discussed. And they were amazed because most of them have never been to a school board meeting. And I can't even blame a lot of them because most of them probably go to work and they strategically, Nesto, schedule the meetings at 4:30 for the school board and 3 o'clock for the city council and 3:30 for the parish commission so that the majority of people can't come.
They at work or they just about to get off work.
Exactly.
And can't make it.
Exactly. So that's all done strategically because they don't want the people engaged and involved.
Yeah. What's the gentleman name you were speaking with again? Rochelle?
Yeah, Barrett Rochelle.
Barrett Rochelle. Since Pac-Man said we ain't gave nobody a booty look in a long time, we're going to give Mr. Rochelle a booty look. Booty look. You happy?
I appreciate that, brother. Because she deserve a booty look.
Give another
booty look. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so when we look at this book here, Nesto, by Adam Fairclough, again, Teaching Equality, Black Schools During the Era of Jim Crow, Adam Fairclough breaks down the fact that we had so many positive schools. And mind you, public education doesn't start until after chattel slavery, okay? So this is when public education started. So our schools were about the business of helping to elevate our people. We made more gains as it relates to learning, education, literacy, coming out of slavery than has ever happened in the history of this country. I mean, our people are just the bomb. So what ends up happening, we start kicking ass. But what we don't have is what? The same resources. We don't have the same textbooks. We don't have the same schools. I mean, the the infrastructure that they had. We don't have the same anything. Right. It's just through our grit that our people started. But guess what? We kicked ass. Even with secondhand, third-hand textbooks, we kicked ass, right?
That's right.
So you started to get people like Charles Hamilton Houston and Thurgood Marshall and others who are saying, you know what? We need to integrate. And the white boy talks about that in this book. We need to integrate. So what ends up happening, they make a big push. And this is where the Brown versus Topeka Board of Education thing comes in. They're making a push. Their plan is to get better resources. But the reality is they thought by having African-American children around them good, lily white children.
They would soften their heart.
Exactly. And then, everybody would just, we are the world. We are the children. But Nesto, that ain't
That's TV land. That's a movie.
TV land. This is a real jungle out here. This is real warfare out here. This is a fight for resources.
It's Civil War. And by silver, I mean the way they play in the game.
It's about resources, man. And so they fought to goddamn close down the damn schools that were doing. They fought to close the school. Negroes representing us fought to close down. Look, man, let me give a prime example. In Stoner Hill, what was the school that educated the children over in Stoner Hill? What was that called?
What that was? Valencia?
Valencia. What is it called today?
Caddo Magna High.
All right. So now, what's the politics of Caddo Magna High? The Negroes wanted to be where? With the white folk.
Yeah.
So they let the Negroes up Stoner Hill now integrate Bird. They closed Valencia down, and now they bus white students into the inner city to create the illusion that they're investing in the what? The inner city.
Yeah.
Playing hell of a game.
But what they're investing in is white folks coming into the inner city to get a college preparatory education. Because when the Brown versus Topeka Board of Education legislation, the ruling came down by the Supreme Court that integrated the school system, now white folks say, man, I ain't let my children go to no school with no niggers. So a lot of them started to send their children where? To private school. Yeah. But guess what? Their ass was broke. So they couldn't afford to send them to private school. So now you got to create a private school with what? Public tax dollars. In comes the magnet. But they knew they couldn't just create it for white folks. Yeah. So right up the street from your house right now, Lakeshore, it used to be a junior high school. So I was going to Lakeshore in the late 70s. So they started to try to recruit the best of the best from Lakeshore, Jess Clark, Lanier, Midway, Bethune. Why? Because they wanted a certain caliber of African-American student to go to Magnet.
And also that makes the school grade fail because they took most of the smartest students.
Exactly.
So the school started, instead of evening it out, they started failing.
So this is how you start the process of eroding the stellar academic achievements in your neighborhood communities. This started in the 70s. I was the first entities recruited to come to Magnet. But guess what? Me and most of my folks said, to hell with a goddamn Magnet. We going to what? Fair Park. We're going to Booker T and we're going to Huntington. We're going to our neighborhood schools. We're not only going because we want to be in Fair Park's band, not only because we want to be in Booker T's band and Huntington's band and play sports. We're going because academically, goddamn it, we are intellectual gangsters. And we ain't got to go be by no white folks to now learn. We knew that. And so we went to our neighborhood schools. The neighborhood schools is they're the assets that make up the neighborhood. So when we were at Fair Park on a Friday night and the community is coming out to celebrate not only us in the band, but the football, and it's a community thing. But when you kill the school, guess what you kill? You kill the goddamn community.
Another thing, like if you look, when I was going to Booker T, it was probably, we had 300 people, if that. The band was so small, but I remember my brother generation, the band was big. All the games looked like the Soul Bowl game.
Yeah.
Not just that one game.
Not just that one game.
When I went there, it was only 30 people, probably 18 people on the football team, barely anybody in the band.
That's what happens. So, and why is that? The perception that the white man's ice
is cold.
It's cold. So I'm going to send my child a Bird. Like, now, you know, Bird is 3 schools in one.
Yeah, we was just telling one of their alumni that.
Yeah, it's 3 schools in one. You got special ed Bird, got a whole school special ed. You got general population Bird, that's where the majority of Negroes go. Yeah. And then you got Magnet Bird. Only about 2 to 3% of the melanated population is in Magnet Bird. And the reason I can tell you what I'm about to tell you is because my stepson, Jalen Kennedy, came to stay with me initially back in 2019 up until 2020. So I was one of those parents who was participating in the, PTSA. I was one of only 2 African-American parents that attended those meetings. No Negro, bruh, the school is majority African-American overall, but in the magnet, it's majority white. And so what I came to learn, Negroes don't want to do right by their goddamn children. They just, the white folks got it.
I think, well, like you say, about the times when people working stuff, most African American parents, most of them got 2 jobs, or most of them single parents, so most of them really ain't got time.
Yeah, cause I'm gonna be honest, my mama, majority of my life, my mama worked 2 and 3 jobs. Quite literally. Yeah. She worked 2 and 3 jobs, and she tried her best to be involved in my education to the point that she could. Yeah. Cause like my mama far from dumb. Yeah. But like some stuff just kind of tough.
Most of them probably ain't have transportation.
So I said that to say this. I think the way they have it set up, and then I remember the exact point I was going to. I think the biggest downfall is this. They allow our students to keep going like past the 1st and 2nd grade without being able to read. Mm-hmm. So, like I was saying with my mama, her trying her best, like, to be honest, she really didn't have to do much when it came to me figuring shit out because I could learn concepts. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's super tough because I had a bunch of friends from the neighborhood, so I was very acquainted to knowing like what they was going through. Yeah. And a lot of these motherfuckers just can't read. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of them still can't read.
Yeah, so, and if you can't read, learning a new concept is going to be the toughest thing in the world. And I feel like we need to establish that precedent to where it's no more. If your kid ain't able to read 1st, 2nd grade, then we going to, because being honest, me graduating later or earlier, it didn't change what jobs I was going to work or none of that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Me being equipped with knowledge and able to do learn skills and things of that sort, that has a much more a much more effect of where I'll be headed in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So I just feel like that's one of the things we need to focus on. But like you say, it still come down to school board making policies like that, because I can feel however the fuck I want to feel.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna change nothing until we get out there and make those changes happen.
Exactly. But I will say, and my mom was one of those mothers who could not be at most of my events and things of that nature. But see, here's the point I'm making. Here in Queensboro, we had Miss Bobby Henderson. She was one of our community mothers. She was the den mother for our Boy Scouts, our Weebelows, our Cub Scouts, our Girl Scouts, our Brownies. She had the Supernaturals dance line. She was our band president at Lakeshore at Fair Park. So, but my mother, although she couldn't be there, she invested in Miss Henderson. So what I'm saying to you is Miss Henderson was also involved in the PTSA or the PTA. We gotta have individuals who now can be supported by the parents who can't. Now, but a lot of them can now. A lot of these punk ass parents can. Mm-hmm. But the ones who can't, now they invest into those individuals so that now those entities can represent your child at these activities. And it was wonderful because, and I don't know how Miss Henderson did it. We just got through celebrating her the other month because she had 4 children of her own and she was married. I told Miss Henderson just the other month when we recognized her, I don't know how you did what you did, but she loved the children of Queensboro. And we had people like that in Lakeside, Allendale, Moortown, Cedar Grove. You've had people like that all over.
That's the village concept.
That's the village.
And that's something that I'm seeing, though. In the neighborhoods, people are moving more towards like that. How you talking? When I was growing up, Lakeside, we considered each other family.
Exactly.
Like we all considered each other family. Like we call each other cousins. Shit,
yeah.
We weren't cousins and shit in real life. But it seems like nowadays more people are being looked at as strangers. They're looking
individuals.
Yeah. So within a community, it's not that same camaraderie anymore. Like how I could go in I can go in my friend them house and we was going to each other houses. Like I don't see that as much.
It's the internet. Kids don't go outside and play as much anymore.
Exactly.
People most time people somewhere they on their phone, they not interacting.
Exactly.
We need more human interaction like we had back in the day.
And that's so you hit up on a good point because the internet, social media has created an anti-social behavior. Mm-hmm. That's one of the outcomes. Y'all just saw what happened on Sunday over in Mendon where the 11-year-old murdered his mother and grandfather because of him buying video games on their credit card. And now they checked him, and what does he do? He kills him. So now you have this dynamic going on, things that we would have never even thought about. But when you are now playing all these video games and not putting positive education in your mind, positive learning in your mind, this is now what ends up happening. And now it gets back to black labor, white wealth, because though you don't want to work, quote unquote, for $7.50 or $10 an hour, when you take your punk ass to Angola, guess what? You're going to work for 4 cents an hour. Mm-hmm. You're going to work for 4 cents an hour. Ooh-wee. And so the job, the number one job that these white folks have pretty much laid out for these children who are of African descent, Latino descent, their job is to go to jail, baby. That's your job. Your job is to be a commodity for the state in the system of incarceration. In terms of learning, when we launched Dads on Duty in 2021, the per pupil allotment for Southwood at that point in time was roughly 16,000 per person. And so we had about 1,500 students at Southwood. So like I told you and MJ, Southwood was a $25 million a year corporation, but they didn't get all of that $25 million in the school. The central office got that money, and then they distributed what they wanted to Southwood. At the time, we were under Dr. Kim Pendleton. Today, we're under Sister Queen Mother Jordan. Miss Jordan and Dr. Pendleton, outstanding individuals, but they don't get all of the money that's designated to the institution. This is a convoluted game of now using children in order to now create employment opportunities for adults. And nothing would be wrong with that if you really had dedicated people like the teachers that I had coming up. You don't really have that. In a lot of these schools, you have long-term subs because your better teachers don't want to teach in the jungle. Today I came in from Tyler after taking my mom to her doctor's appointment over in Tyler, and I came and did my volunteer duty, Dad's on duty at Southwood, and bruh, from when we started with all the gang violence to now, bruh, you wouldn't even believe. I mean, bruh, it's like quiet. And Southwood is a very good school. It's a very good school, but you get this negative perception, and it's crazy. But what we don't have is more and more involvement from the parents, primarily males, the father. And I get it, some of them are working, but here's what I did, Robert. When we talk about engaging males and men in this process of dads on duty, so you do the numbers, 1,500 students, now we're down to about 1,000. Because Miss Jordan kicked all those hard heads out. She ain't playing no games.
Yeah, I graduated under Miss Jordan.
She don't play no, does she play games? She don't play no goddamn game. Yeah. So check it out. Nesto, 1,500. What if I told you there's an irrefutable fact about every child at every school, elementary, junior high, high school? There's an irrefutable fact. It doesn't matter their gender, their ethnicity, their age. There's an irrefutable fact. And that irrefutable fact is each one of those children, going back 2 generations, have 3 fathers and 3 mothers. Meaning they have 1 biological father and 2 biological grandfathers. They have 1 biological mother and 2 biological grandmothers. So let's just focus on the fathers. So 3 times 1,500 is 4,500. We ain't trying to get 4,500 fathers and grandfathers to volunteer at Southwood. That would be way too much, right? Our numbers only focus on getting 2 to 4%. And it's hard to do that because the people are so caught up in themselves or just their child. Now, the reason you can't just be caught up in just your child is because your child don't live in the community by itself. And see, they will probably encounter one of the young individuals who potentially could become a ratchet savage. That would now take, okay,
What's that term?
a ratchet savage. That could then take your child out. You see what I'm saying? Because we had a few young people to get murdered over the past few years at Southwood, and it was just sad. It was a sad commentary. So when we're talking about this school thing, the leadership of the school system, the superintendent, that's a major thing. And what I'm telling you guys, they are playing games with these children because they're only looking at them as commodities to leverage in between 9 or 10 up to about $15,000 to $16,000 per. All right, so like I'm saying, the essence of these children, they are being used as commodities for compensating individuals in the public school system. And that doesn't mean that all of the public school officials, whether they be teachers, educators, paraprofessionals, administrators, or whatnot, are bad. But there's a significant percentage that are. And the children have to be, the parents, the village, have to come in and get involved in the process. But the leadership, the superintendent, that makes a big difference. And so you gotta have people who understand what you're dealing with in the city of Shreveport, Parish of Caddo, because over 70% of our student population are African Americans. And you gotta have now individuals who understand the psychology of these family dynamics, of what's going on, and now can come in with some creative concepts that can help families now better equip their children, because other than that, the place that they want them to go is jail. And in the state of Louisiana, I remember when my stepson, as I was telling you, Jalen Kennedy, did the school to prison pipeline project back in 2007, and he became the national spokesperson for the issue of school to prison pipeline. At that point in time, Robert and Nesto, the per inmate allotment in the state of Louisiana was roughly $45,000 per child. $45,000. 7 years later, and that was in 2017. 7 years later, that amount is $155,000. See, they want the children to go to jail because you get more money. The state gets more money for children
than an adult.
Yeah. So they want to max them out. So now when you see right now, Queensboro Elementary, they're about to close Queensboro Elementary and Atkins Elementary. They're about to shut them down because they got to create money for what?
Jail.
For the school.
And the new school.
Oh, the new school.
But they just closed one in Park now.
Exactly. They're closing all these schools in the inner city community. What the children? So now, how do children get to school? They got to be bused. See? Instead of just walking to school. So these are the dynamics of what we're rolling with. So when you talk about a superintendent, you got to have somebody who is fighting for the inner city community. And the other thing that the school system doesn't understand, as again, Malcolm X said it best, education is our passport to the future, for the tomorrow belongs to the people who prepare for it today. Education is the cornerstone of economic development. It's the cornerstone of economic development. In any city, in any parish or county, in any state, it is the cornerstone. So now, if the people are not being educated in a positive and progressive manner, they're going to now get educated in a negative manner, i.e. turning to the streets. Hence, they want them going to jail. Hence, black labor, white wealth, from the incarceration system, which puts you in slavery by another name.
And I'm gonna say another thing too. You know, the prisons of a I'm gonna say black male, but the prison of a black male, I've seen how kids behave tremendously different when a black male is around. They try harder, they more disciplined. Like they it's just something about that black man being there that makes a child want to kind of make them proud or something. Yeah. You know.
For example, when we was doing the SPAR thing, all the centers we went to, it was predominantly ran by women. The kids were more, like a little bit more
tuned up.
Rowdy.
Yeah. But the ones that were black males, black older males was there.
It was more structure.
Yeah, more structure. Yeah.
And I give and it's beautiful because I know Jabba Jaws runs the center up in Cherokee Park area, and it's very beautiful to see him involved because rec centers are a great way of engaging young people. So Shreveport is man, it again, it's a gold mine, but we gotta fix these certain key components, and we gotta get grassroots people to understand evil people are not gonna do the right thing. So we got to get the people who are going to represent the interests of our people in elected positions, school board, city council, parish commissions, and they gotta have a proven track record of caring about the people. They gotta have a plan, and so, because until and they gotta have some goddamn courage.
So, who pocket did that $70,000 go into?
Well, it went to the firm McPherson and whatever the last name of it.
And who they friends of?
Oh, they're friends of. As a matter of fact, they let it out. Dottie Bell and all of them had dealt with this firm before, and so they roll with the agenda. And they do work all over the country, and so here's the hustle, so y'all can understand this. Your viewers can understand this. In corporate America, they've tried to eliminate a lot of the human resources work when it comes to hiring people, because it's an easy way for them to get sued if they find out, if the federal government found out, we want so many females, or we want so many males, or we want them to look like this. See, you can't do that in corporate America. But if you hire a recruitment firm, you can do that. You can tell them we want so many females, we want, and people don't know that. That's how the game is played. And so, because, coming out of corporate America back in 1995, that was my last corporate stint with Astra Pharmaceuticals. And I was one of the few African Americans who have ever worked in pharmaceutical sales. I was a legalized drug dealer. One of only, that's I sold legal drugs, Toprol XL and Rhinocort, cardiovascular and hypertensive medication. And so what you have is they would be able to now tell the corporation could tell the recruitment company, we want so many females, we want so many Negroes, we want so many whites. So this is what happened with this company. So their job is to create the illusion that it's all objective. Because they're getting paid by their client, even though their client is actually us.
Right.
But they're being represented by these sellouts and these Klansmen, like Barrett Rochelle. And so now they don't ever want to be called out. They want to create the illusion that they're good Christians. But we ain't going to let that go, because we know you're not a legitimate so-called Christian following so-called Jesus, Yeshua, because your words and your actions are totally different.
Yeah, we done seen what Christians did 300 years ago.
Come on.
Well, I'm put it out. He said you gonna apologize.
Yeah.
He got the nerve.
I'm just trying to see when and what date can we expect this
It'll
apology.
never happen, baby. I don't apologize to no Klan member. Hey, that just ain't never gonna happen there, baby.
I know that.
It ain't man, look here, my ancestors would turn over their goddamn graves if I ever apologize to a Klansman or some white supremacist. Bro, it ain't even if Barrett Rochelle even knew my pedigree, he would have kept his goddamn mouth closed. My goddamn great uncle Giles D. Moore is the founder of Moortown. What the hell do I look like apologizing to a goddamn hillbilly cracker for? It will never happen.
I know that's right.
That will never happen. And I was being polite to you, punk ass. I was real cool. I ain't even get turned up. I was real nice. But when he said that, I'm like, oh my goodness, like, you better,
It took him everything in it. It took him everything not to call you a nigga. I guarantee you that.
He was saying in his head.
He called it to you. He called you one when he got in the car.
yeah, but I told him, I said, you can see me you can see me outside. I ain't got no problem with you. But that Donald Trump, that don't work with me. Because you're showing that yourself, that you A, ain't no damn Christian, and then B, that, like you said, just like with the Exorcist, that damn demonic spirit came out.
Yeah. He couldn't hold it in. I was scared for everybody in the room.
But this is where we're at. And look, I wanted to go, because I always like to hit the people with a little scripture. Yeah. And so again, when we go to to that book of Hosea. Oh my goodness.
Uh-oh.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh-wee.
We go to that 4th chapter of Hosea. See, we're going to relate this to scripture because we had some ministers in the audience.
Okay.
And so when you go to that 4th chapter of Hosea, and look, man, look, it's right there in the 6th verse. Listen to this, man.
Talk to him.
My people
What they do?
are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Not for a lack of cause, not for a lack of money, not for a lack of food, not for a lack of clothes, but for a lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Ain't no preacher gonna be able to tell you anything because you're rejecting learning. What did I tell you? These Negroes don't know the bylaws. They don't know the Robert Rules of Order. They don't know the state law. So what is God saying? I'm gonna reject your punk ass, seeing that thou hast forgotten the law. What did I ask them? Does it say a policy? It say the law of thy God. I will also forget thy children. That's what's going on. See, our children are being played in a diabolical, wicked, evil game by these individuals who, let's go to the 1st verse. Hear the word of the Lord, ye children of Israel, for the Lord hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of God in the land. See, so now the children are getting caught up because the so-called adults lack ethics, lack morals. And it says in the 2nd verse, by swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out and blood toucheth blood. That's what's going on right now. And so when you look at this dynamic, we have to now understand that if we want to save our children, we got to stand on the square of righteousness, because the evil people who are coming for us, they are gangsters in deception and wickedness. So they'll create the illusion that they're so-called Christians or Muslims or Hindus or Buddhists, when the reality is there's something totally different. And that's why
synagogue of Satan.
They're the synagogue of Satan, brother.
I know that's right.
And that is where we're at. So I like to bring this to the point so that we can understand this is a spiritual and cultural warfare. So if we continue to promote ratchetness, it gives the foundation for the Barrett shells to say, hey man, them Negroes, let's keep on closing school. Them Negroes don't need no goddamn education. Let's now create a brand new school in out in Southeast Shreveport, Ellaby Road area, because those individuals are going to be the leadership anyway. And so, hey man, this is a call to action for our brothers, our sisters, anybody who is serious about saving our children. If you won't stand up for you, look, bro. It's a couple of people you got to stand up for. The damn children, the damn elderly, the disabled. If you don't stand up for them, you should just kill your goddamn.
So what you think about?
Speaking of disabled people, how you feel about people taking advantage of mentally challenged people to make profit off of them?
Like Zeal.
Death, bro.
I know that.
Death
right.
penalty, bro. Death penalty. Hey, bro, you take advantage of a mentally challenged individual, death penalty, man.
And not just one, there's numerous of them.
Yeah, it's death penalty, bro. See, at some point, we got to set a standard of what can't happen. You can't have sellouts representing your legislative affairs, your judicial affairs, your law enforcement affairs. You can't have that. But for damn sure, bro, you can't have people messing over disabled people, children, and elderly. You don't want nobody to mess over anybody, but those are 3 protected groups that we got to represent. I mean, it's just the bottom line. This is where this is at. And so now we're at a place where, although they're closing schools down now, here's the thing. And that's all, even though they're closing schools down, Robert, even though they're closing schools down, what now exists, Robert, as a result of them closing the schools down?
So what exists?
Yeah, what exists?
Oh, free money.
What exists?
Available funds.
An opportunity for us.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, to go get them schools and make our own. Yes sir.
Yeah.
Charter school. Yes sir. Yes sir. Makes sense.
I know that's right.
Makes sense.
It creates the opportunity for us. So even though it's bad, it really is not too goddamn bad. Because the game plan that we're working on, Get Up Incorporated, Best 13, our coalition partners, we're trying to attract over 300,000 people to the city of Shreveport in concert with what 50 Cents and the G Unit Project is doing. So we attract all these people. What are children gonna be educated at?
So what they meant for bad, we gonna turn it into good.
Come on, bro.
I know that's right.
Come on, bro. But we still, of course, the majority of them will still remain in the public school system. So we gotta fight for them and create our own situation simultaneously. Mm-hmm. Because they ain't got nobody to fight for. Mm-hmm. So we gotta fight for them. Mm-hmm. Unequivocally, we gotta fight for them. Mm-hmm. But we gotta create specialized institutions where we can teach. For real deal stuff. So we can now equip them to become future intellectual gangsters, because the way that the white folks roll, this big thick book called The Bell Curve, the white folks saying your children are retarded. They ain't got no skills. They are naturally savages.
Ooh-wee.
They're incompetent. Now we know this is a lie, but look at this big thick book now, The Bell Curve. And so this is how they create the standardized test. Look what it says. Intelligence and class structure in American life. These white folks set the precedent for this. So they create the book and make it seem like it's some scholarly achievement, but it's really, this is just trash. Mm-hmm. It's just Eurocentric trash. But again, if we don't have our own intelligentsia to rebut that, then it becomes a living thing. Mm-hmm. And so this is why they attempted to silence me, and they'll always try to silence us, because now we can create that spark that now helps to ignite the individuals who are really wanting to now elevate in the game. That's what this is a fight for billions of dollars of tax revenues. Now, I've gone through the tax dynamic. I've discussed the fact that whether you rent or own, you do what? Pay taxes.
Pay taxes.
Whether that's residential or commercial, we've discussed that. We know now what their agenda is as it relates to trying to build a new school out in the Ellaby Road area. And again, I'm not mad at them, but you're not going to now kill us in order to save yourself. Because what Ellaby Road ultimately wants to do is to de-annex from the city of Shreveport. And guess what? I ain't got no problem with that. But guess what? You're going to have to cut us a check for $10 to $20 billion. I ain't talking about no million, 10 to 20 billion. Because guess who put their infrastructure, their water and sewage lines out there? Okay. We put the infrastructure, the roads, the highway system. All of that is a byproduct of what the city of Shreveport has invested. So now I've connected all the dots for you. All we now got to do is get grassroots people involved in this process. There are more of us than it is of them. You all got to get out of the mindset of not voting, not being involved, Get out of the mindset of voting for somebody just because they're your goddamn relative. You went to school with them. You eat some hog head cheese with them. You goddamn went to school with them. Whatever your identity politics is, you got to get out of that and look at 4 things. You got, and this includes me. Evaluate me based on my resume, my empowerment resume, my empowerment references, my empowerment receipts, and my empowerment recipe, meaning my plan. You do that with anybody before you give them your vote. Just like you would anybody who is doing cataract surgery, knee surgery, back surgery. You got to put the same level of analysis on vetting them as you would a doctor.
Well, yeah, we kind of ran out of time. Want to thank you for coming through. You know, this was extremely informing. You know, and anytime something coming on, you know, we gonna come get you so you can let the people know, and that way we can be elevated together and educated together. You know, I like to think that when we do have you on, that our audience leaves with a little more information that they had before, and that's always a good thing. So I want to thank you for coming on again.
Thank y'all, brother. Y'all blowing up.
Yeah, I think you're gonna be back sooner than later.
Appreciate y'all, brother.
Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. Go check out some of them books that he showed y'all, and we out this thing.
Yes, sir.
This ain't my business, but I just know about it.